Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. We continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 5. We are reading the beautiful prayers by Lord Brahma. He is offering these prayers to Lord Vishnu while standing at the shore of the ocean of milk ocean. So, continuing today's text 46. Taiste svecha bhutai rupe
तस्थैर्हि श्वेचा भूतैरूपः
kale kale swayam vibho
काले काले
काले स्वयं विभो
स्वयं
karma durvisaham yanno
कर्म
कर्मा दुर्विशनं यन्नो
दुर्विषहो
bhagavamstat karotihi.
भगवां
भगवांस्तत्करोति हि.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. O Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, by your sweet will you appear in various incarnations, millennium after millennium, and act wonderfully, performing uncommon activities that would be impossible for us. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 4.7, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srajami aham. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice or descendant of Bharat and a predominant rise of a religion, at that time I descend myself. Thus, it is not an imagination but a fact that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by His sweet will, appears in different incarnations such as Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Nishimha, Vaman, Parshuram, Ramachandra, Balaram, Buddha, and many other forms. So, Krishna himself is saying that I am coming millennium after millennium whenever there is decline in religious practice. And the Vedas also saying that Krishna comes. And the sadhus are also saying that Krishna is coming himself. So here, because sometimes someone may think, oh, it's just all mythology. Maybe it happened, maybe it didn't happen. Ramayana, or Lord Krishna's pastimes, we don't know. No, but it is a fact that God came in different forms at different times. Devotees are always eager to see one of the Lord's innumerable forms. It is said that just as no one can count how many waves are there in the sea, no one can count the forms of the Lord. This does not mean, however, that anyone can claim to be a form of the Lord and be acceptable as an incarnation. The incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead must be accepted in terms of the descriptions found in the Shastras. So the incarnations of the Lord are innumerable. Just as we cannot count the waves in the sea, we cannot count. They're countless. So Lord's incarnations, unlimited incarnations. So then one may say, oh well, there are anyways unlimited incarnation. Let me also claim to be an incarnation. No, because there is ways to detect that this personality is really an incarnation or no. The descriptions of the incarnations are there in the scriptures. Lord Brahma is eager to see the incarnation of the Lord or the original source of all incarnations. He is not eager to see an imposter. The incarnation's activities are proof of his identity. All the incarnations described in the Shastras act wonderfully. Keshavatrita Meena Sharira Jaya Jagatisha Hare. So this is by Jayadev Goswami, where he is speaking, he's glorifying the Dasha avatar. So whenever the Lord comes, he takes incarnation, he performs wonderful, wonderful pastimes. Like he came as the fish to save the Vedas. So it is only by the personal sweet will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that he appears and disappears. And only fortunate devotees can expect to see him face to face. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. Klesha bhuri alpa sharani
Klesha
Bhuri
sarani
karmani vifalani va
karmani
Vipalani va
vifalani va
dehinam vishayarthanam
Dehinam
Dehinam
Vishyardhanam
Vishayarthanam
na tathaivar pitam tvai.
na tatha arpitam
Natathevarpitam
Arpitam
Tvayi.
Tvayi.
Karmi is always anxious to accumulate wealth for their sense gratification. But for that purpose, they must work very hard. Yet, even though they work hard, the results are not satisfying. Indeed, sometimes their work results only in frustration. But devotees who have dedicated their lives to the service of the Lord can achieve substantial results without working very hard. These results exceed the devotees' expectations. So, Lord Brahma here is encouraging everyone to take up devotional service by saying that one may work very hard but may not get the result that we are expecting. But a devotee, he's working hard for Krishna and he's always satisfied. We can practically see how the devotees who have dedicated their lives for the service of the Lord in the Krishna consciousness movement are getting immense opportunities for the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead without working very hard. So, because the devotee, their center is how can I serve Krishna? And they are serving Krishna 24 hours a day. The Krishna consciousness movement actually started with only 40 rupees, but now it has more than 40 crores worth of property. And all this opulence has been achieved within 8 or 10 years. No karmi can expect to improve his business so swiftly. And besides that, whatever karmi acquires is temporary and sometimes frustrating. So Prabhupada is giving his own example that how he left India only with 40 rupees. And at that time, when Prabhupada is writing this purport, ISKCON had properties of more than 40 crores. So he's saying in 8 to 10 years, how can one get so much money, even if one works very hard? You know? So it's all Krishna's grace because Krishna knew that Prabhupada is engaging all this opulence, all the wealth, all the land, the devotees, everything, everyone in service of Krishna, propagating Krishna consciousness all over the world. So Krishna gave him more and more. In Krishna consciousness, however, everything is encouraging and improving. The Krishna consciousness movement is not very popular with the karmis because this movement recommends that one refrain from illicit sex, meat eating, gambling, and intoxication. These are restrictions that karmis very much dislike. Nonetheless, in the presence of so many enemies, this movement is progressing, going forward without impediments. So before, when Prabhupada started the movement, because he was not getting much support even in India, now we see it's completely different. Now the ISKCON is growing very, very much and very fast in India. More and more people are joining. Yet there will be some who will say, oh, no, no, no. What is this? So the four regulative principles: no meat eating, no illicit sex, no gambling, no intoxication. And doing what? Chanting minimum 16 rounds. So if the devotees continue to spread this movement, dedicating life and soul to the lotus feet of Krishna, no one will be able to check it. The movement will go forward without limits. Chant Hare Krishna. So this movement is there for the pleasure of Krishna, following the order of Krishna, of Lord Chaitanya. And so, by Krishna's will, it is going on. Any comments? Question? No? Okay, then let's go on. Navama karma kalpopi
Navama kalma
kalpo
kalpopi
vifal vifalayeshvararpitaha
Vifalaya Ishwararpitam
Vifalaishwararpitah
kalpate purushasya
Kalpati
Kalpate
Purushasya Eva
Purushasya
sahi atma daito hitaha.
Sahi
Sahi
Atmadayito
Atmadayito
Hitaha.
Hitaha.
Activities dedicated to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even if performed in small measure, never go in vain. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, being the Supreme Father, is naturally very dear and always ready to act for the good of the living entities. In Bhagavad Gita 2.40, the Lord says, Svalpam api asya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. This dharma, devotional service, is so important that even if performed to a very small, almost negligible extent, it can give one the supreme result. Krishna is saying, Svalpam api asya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. That even a small beginning in devotional service can save one from the greatest type of danger, greatest type of fear. There are many instances in the history of the world in which even a slight service rendered to the Lord has saved a living entity from the greatest danger. Ajamil, for example, was saved by the Supreme Personality of Godhead from the greatest danger, that of going to hell. He was saved simply because he chanted the name Narayan at the end of his life. Yeah, because otherwise the Yamadutas had come to take Ajamil and they look so scary, you know. And then Ajamil said Narayan, and then the Vishnudutas came to save him. When Ajamil chanted this holy name of Lord Narayan, he did not chant knowingly. Actually, he was calling his youngest son, whose name was Narayan. Nonetheless, Lord Narayan took this chanting seriously, and thus Ajamil achieved the result of Ante Narayana Smriti, remembering Narayan at the end of life. You know, that's why before people would name their children after the names of the Lord. You know, Ram, or they would keep Arjun also as a devotee, uh, Kishan, yeah, so many of these names, Purushottam. So now, of course, it's different. Anyway, if someone somehow or other remembers the holy name of Narayan, Krishna, or Rama at the end of life, he immediately achieves the transcendental result of going back home, back to Godhead. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is actually the only object of our love. As long as we are in this material world, we have so many desires to fulfill. But when we come in touch with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we immediately become perfect and fully satisfied, just as a child is fully satisfied when he comes to the lap of his mother. So we are looking for happiness here in the material world, but actually we can find happiness only at the lotus feet of Krishna. Dhruv Maharaj went to the forest to achieve some material result by austerity and penance. But when he actually saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he said, I do not want any material benediction. I am completely satisfied. Even if one wants some material benefit from serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this can be achieved extremely easily without hard labor. Therefore, the Shastra recommends akama sarva kamo va moksha kama udharati tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Whether one desires everything or nothing, or desires to merge into the existence of the Lord, he is intelligent only if he worships Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by rendering transcendental loving service. Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 3, Text 10. Even if one has material desires, one can undoubtedly achieve what he wants by rendering service to the Lord. So we are thinking our desires will be fulfilled in the material world, but actually our desires can be fulfilled only at the lotus feet of Krishna when we take shelter of Lord Krishna. Yatha hi skanda shakhanam
यथा हि
यथा हि शाखानां
taror mula vasechanam
तरोर्मूलावसेचनम्
evam aradhanam Vishnu
एवम्
एवम्
आराधनं
आराधना
विष्णु
विष्णु
sarvesham atmanascha hi.
सर्वेषाम्
सर्वेषाम्
मनश्च
आत्मनश्च हि
When one pours water on the root of a tree, the trunk and branches of the tree are automatically pleased. Similarly, when one becomes a devotee of Lord Vishnu, everyone is served, for the Lord is the super soul of everyone. Here, Brahmaji is also saying, pouring the water to the root of the tree. As stated in Padma Puran, Aradhanam Sarvesham Vishnur Aradhanam Param Tasmat Parataram Devi Tadiyanam Samarchanam. So this is coming in Padma Puran. Lord Shiva is saying to Parvati Devi, of all types of worship, worship of Lord Vishnu is best, and better than the worship of Lord Vishnu is the worship of his devotee, the Vaishnav. There are many demigods worshipped by people who are attached to material desires. Kamesterte hritya jnana prapadyante nya devata. Because people are embarrassed by so many material desires, they worship Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, the goddess Kali, Durga, Ganesh, and Surya to achieve different results. However, one can achieve all these results simultaneously just by worshipping Lord Vishnu. As stated elsewhere in the Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 31, Text 14. Yatha tarurmula nishechanena tripyanti tatskanda bhujopashakha pranopaharacha yathendriyana tathaiva sarvarhanam achyuteja. Just by pouring water on the root of a tree, one nourishes its trunk and all of its branches, fruits, and flowers. And just by supplying food to the stomach, one satisfies all the limbs of the body. Similarly, by worshipping Lord Vishnu, one can satisfy everyone. So here Lord Brahma is also saying that we don't need to separately worship any personalities. We need only to worship Lord Krishna, and in this way we are worshipping everyone. Everyone is included in the body of Krishna. By pouring the water to the root of the tree, the full tree becomes nice and green and healthy and wholesome. There'll be fruits, there'll be flowers, there'll be leaves. We are putting the food inside the mouth so the food can go in the stomach. We don't need to separately put food on our hands and legs, inside our eyes. No. Similarly, by worshipping Lord Vishnu, one can satisfy everyone. Krishna consciousness is not a sectarian religious movement. Rather, it is meant for all embracing welfare activities for the world. One can enter this movement without discrimination in terms of caste, creed, religion, or nationality. If one is trained to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, who is the origin of Vishnu Tattva, one can become fully satisfied and perfect in all respects. So, actually, if we really want to become satisfied, we really want to become peaceful, we have to surrender to Krishna. The more we surrender to Krishna, the more satisfied we will feel, the more peaceful we will become. Okay, so even Lord Brahma is saying that. Namastubhyam Anantaya
Namastubhyam
Namastubhyam
Anantaya
Anantaya
Durvitarkyatmakarmane
दुर्वितर्क्यात्मकर्मणे
Nirgunaya Guneshaya
Nirgunaya
Nirgunaya
गुणाय
Guneshaya
Sattvasthaya cha Sampratam.
Sattvasthaya
सत्त्वस्थाय च सम्प्रतम्
Sampratam.
My Lord, all obeisances unto you who are eternal, beyond time's limits of past, present, and future. You are inconceivable in your activities. You are the master of the three modes of material nature. And being transcendental to all material qualities, you are free from material contamination. You are the controller of all three of the modes of nature. But at the present, you are in favor of the quality of goodness. Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto you. The Supreme Personality of Godhead controls the material activities manifested by the three modes of material nature. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Nirgunam Guna Bhoktarcha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is always transcendental to the material qualities, Sattvagun, Rajogun, and Tamogun. But nonetheless, he is their controller. So, does Krishna come under the control of the modes of nature?
No, no.
No. Yeah, he never comes. He is their controller. The Lord manifests himself in three features as Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwar to control these three qualities. So, Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh, they are called which kind of avatar? Does anyone remember? Guna avatar.
Guna Avatarya.
Guna avatar. So he personally takes charge of Sattvagun as Lord Vishnu, and he entrusts the charge of Rajogun and Tamogun to Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. Ultimately, however, he is the controller of all three gunas. Lord Brahma, expressing his appreciation, said that because Lord Vishnu had now taken charge of the activities of goodness, there was every hope that the demigods would be successful in fulfilling their desires. So here Lord Brahma is saying that, oh, that you're supporting the quality of goodness because Lord Vishnu, he is like taking charge, no, of the mode of goodness. But Lord Vishnu is never in the mode of material goodness. He's always transcendental. He's always in the state of pure goodness. So the Lord Brahma is saying, oh, we demigods, we are in the mode of goodness. So you're in charge of mode of goodness. So we hope to get your favor now. We hope that you will help us. The demigods were harassed by the demons who were infested with tamogun. However, as Lord Brahma has previously described, since the time of Sattvagun had now arrived, the demigods could naturally expect to fulfill their desires. The demigods are supposedly well advanced in knowledge, yet they could not understand the knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, the Lord is addressed here as Anantaya. Although Lord Brahma knows past, present, and future, he is unable to understand the unlimited knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, in the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 8th canto, 5th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam entitled, the demigods appeal to the Lord for protection. So that brings us to the
Hare
end of the 5th chapter. Any comments?
Yeah, Hare Krishna. I thought Lord Vishnu knows, right? Krishna knows the past, present, and future. But here he's saying
He,
Lord Brahma. although
Yeah.
Lord Brahma also knows.
So Lord Brahma, for example, even Narad Muni, even he knows. So Krishna, he knows completely past, present, and future. And the great personalities, to some degree, they also know. They may not know entirely, but to some degree, they know also. Yeah, those who are like very knowledgeable, very learned, those great sages, and of course the pure devotees. So the knowledge is given to them by Krishna. Krishna is in the heart, Paramatma, and he gives them the knowledge.
And what does Anantaya means? Why is the Lord addressed as Anantaya? Because
And
he
then
has the knowledge, because he has the full knowledge,
unlimited, no?
unlimited knowledge. So that's
Mhm.
what it means, Anantaya.
Anantaya, yeah, inconceivable in his energies. You want to know exactly? We can look here, synonyms. Anant,
Mm,
who are everlasting, transcending the three phases of time, past, present, and future.
everlasting,
Unlimited,
oh,
everlasting.
everlasting. Okay.
Mhm. So, n- uh, like no limit to him. There's no
Mm,
limit to the Supreme Lord.
mm.
Okay, so that brings us to the end of this chapter of Lord Brahma's prayers to Lord Vishnu. Any any comments on the chapter or anything? No, then maybe
Though
we can
Lord
read the
Brahma has not
huh.
seen him, but though Lord Brahma is not seen, but the way he is described, right? Like
Yeah,
God, Lord, about the Supreme Lord is like God.
yeah. His knowledge
Yeah,
about the Supreme Lord,
the
right?
Supreme Lord is,
Yeah,
yeah, it's
amazing.
amazing.
Uh, Amazing. Yeah, that's why we are encouraged to learn these prayers of these great devotees because they know how to glorify the Lord properly.
Mm.
Yeah. So very purifying for us to hear these prayers. Okay. Shall we read this introduction by Srila
Yes.
Prabhupada to the next chapter? Chapter 6, the demigods and demons declare a truce. This chapter describes how the Lord appeared before the demigods when they offered him their prayers. Following the advice of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the demigods executed a truce with the demons for the purpose of churning nectar from the sea. Because of the prayers offered by the demigods in the previous chapter, Lord Shirodakashayi Vishnu was pleased with the demigods, and thus he appeared before them. The demigods were almost blinded by his transcendental bodily effulgence. At first, therefore, they could not even see any part of his body. After some time, however, when Brahma could see the Lord, he, along with Lord Shiva, began to offer the Lord prayers. Lord Brahma said, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, being beyond birth and death, is eternal. He has no material qualities. Yet he is the ocean of unlimited auspicious qualities. He is subtler than the most subtle. He is invisible, and his form is inconceivable. He is worshipable for all the demigods. Innumerable universes exist within his form, and therefore he is never separated from these universes by time, space, or circumstances. He is the chief and the pradhan, although he is the beginning, the middle, and the end of the material creation. The idea of pantheism, conceived by Mayavadi philosophers, has no validity. The Supreme Personality of Godhead controls the entire material manifestation through his subordinate agent, the external energy. Because of his inconceivable transcendental position, He's always the master of the material energy. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, in his various forms, is always present, even within this material world. But the material qualities cannot touch him. One can understand his position only by his instructions as given in Bhagavad Gita. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 10.10, Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam. Buddhi Yoga means Bhakti Yoga. Only through the process of Bhakti Yoga can one understand the Supreme Lord. When offered prayers by Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead was pleased. Thus he gave appropriate instructions to all the demigods. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is known as Ajita, unconquerable, advised the demigods to make a peace proposal to the demons, so that after formulating a truce, the demigods and demons could churn the ocean of milk. The rope would be the biggest serpent, known as Vasuki, and the churning rod would be Mandara mountain. Poison would also be produced from the churning, but it would be taken by Lord Shiva, and so there would be no need to fear it. Many other attractive things would be generated by the churning, but the Lord warned the demigods not to be captivated by such things, nor should the demigods be angry if there were some disturbances. After advising the demigods in this way, the Lord disappeared from the scene. Following the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the demigods established a peace with Maharaj Bali, the king of the demons. Then both the demons and the demigods started for the ocean, taking Mandara mountain with them. Because of the great heaviness of the mountain, the demigods and demons became fatigued, and some of them actually died. Then the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu appeared there on the back of his carrier Garuda, and by his mercy he brought these demigods and demons back to life. The Lord then lifted the mountain with one of his hands and placed it on the back of Garuda. The Lord sat on the mountain and was carried to the spot of the churning by Garuda, who placed the mountain near the sea. Then the Lord asked Garuda to leave that place, because as long as Garuda was present, Vasuki could not come there. Vasuki is a snake and Garuda eats snakes. So we have this very interesting pastime which will unfold in this chapter. Next one, Shri Shuka Vacha.
Shri Shuka Uvacha
Evam Stuta Suraganer
Evam Stuta Suraganir
Bhagavan Harir Ishvaraha
Bhagavan Hari Ishvaraha
Tesham Avira Bhudrajan
Tesham Aviravhutrajan
Sahasrar Kodaya Dyutihi.
Sahasra Kodaya Duti.
Sri Sukadev Goswami said, O King Parikshit, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, being thus worshipped with prayers by the demigods and Lord Brahma, appeared before them. His bodily effulgence resembled the simultaneous rising of thousands of suns. Here one sun rises, and then when it's blazing, we can't even look up. And the Lord is coming. It's effulgence of thousands of suns. Teneva sahasa sarve
Teneva Sahasa Sarve
deva pratihate kshanaha
Deva Pratihatekshanaha
na pashyan kham disha shaunim
Na Pashyan Kam Disha Kshonim
atmanam cha kuto vibhum.
Atmanam Cha Kuto Vibhum.
The vision of all the demigods was blocked by the Lord's effulgence. Thus they could see neither the sky, the directions, the land, nor even themselves, what to speak of seeing the Lord who was present before them. Comes to mind that verse of Ishopanishad, where Mantra 15, I think it is, where the devotee is praying that, my Lord, there's so much blazing effulgence which is coming from you, and all I can see is the effulgence. Kindly remove this effulgence so I can see your lotus face. I can see your form. And so the devotee is praying in Ishopanishad that please remove this the glare of the Brahman, the Brahma Jyoti, so that I can understand you as a person, can see your beautiful form. Okay, this is 7 verses. Okay, yeah, we can. 4 verses. Virincho Bhagavan Drishtva
Virincho Bhagavan Drishtva
Saha Sharvena Tam Tanum
Saha Sharvena Tam Stanum
Swacham Marakata Shyamam
Swacham Marakata Shyamam
Kanja Garbharunekshanam
Kanja Garbarunekshanam Shanam
Tapta Hemavadatina
Tapta Hemavadateena
Lasat Kausheya Vasasa
Lasat Kausheya Vasasa
Prasanna Charu Sarvangim
Prasanna Charu Sarvangim
Sumukhim Sundara Prubham
Sumukhim Sundara Prubham
Mahamani Kiritena
Mahamani Kiritena
Keyurabhyam Cha Bhushitam
Keyurabhyam cha Pushitam
Paranabharana Nirbhata
Karnabharana Nirbhata
Kapola Shri Mukhambujam
Kapola Shri Mukhambujam
Kanchi Kalapa Valaya
Kanchi Kalapa Valaya
Hara Nupura Shobhitam
Haranupura Shobhitam
Kaustubhabharanam Lakshmim
Kaustubhabharanam Lakshmin
Bibharatim Vanamalinim
Vipraratim Vanamalinim
Sudarshani Divi Swastre
Sudarshanadipi Swaste
Murti Madhirupasitam
Murti Madhvi Upasitam
Tustava Deva Pravaraha
Tushtava Deva Pravaraha
Shasharva Purusham Param
Sasharva Purusham Param
Sarv Amara Ganesakam
Sar Amara Ganesakam
Sarv Anger Avanim Gate.
Sarvangir Avanim Gate.
Lord Brahma, along with Lord Shiva, saw the crystal clear personal beauty of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose blackish body resembles a Markata gem, whose eyes are reddish like the depths of a lotus, who is dressed with garments that are yellow like molten gold, and whose entire body is attractively decorated. They saw his beautiful, smiling, lotus like face, crowned by a helmet, bedecked with valuable jewels. The Lord has attractive eyebrows, and his cheeks are adorned with earrings. Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva saw the belt on the Lord's waist, the bangles on his arms, the necklace on his chest, and the ankle bells on his legs. The Lord is bedecked with flower garlands. His neck is decorated with the Kaustuba gem, and he carries with him the goddess of fortune and his personal weapons, like his disc and club. When Lord Brahma, along with Lord Shiva and the other demigods, thus saw the form of the Lord, They all immediately fell to the ground, offering their obeisances. So here Sukadev Goswami is describing the beautiful appearance of the Lord, the beautiful form of the Lord. I'm not sure what is a Markata gem. It seems maybe blackish, some blackish gem. So he's saying
It
his
is emerald. Shilpaji is emerald.
emerald.
Markat Mani is emerald. Yeah.
Emerald. Oh, okay. Eyes are reddish as the depths of the lotus. Yellow garments like gold. Beautiful body, smiling lotus face. Having a helmet with jewels. Attractive eyebrows. Earrings. He's wearing earrings. A waist belt, bangles, necklace, ankle belts, flower garlands, Kaustuba gem. And of course, carries with him the goddess of fortune, that is the Srivatsa mark, the white curling hair which represents Lakshmi Devi. And he's carrying his disc and club. So here we can see that the demigods are also bowing down to the Supreme
This is,
Lord.
I think, the four arms, na? Form, right?
Form, four
Looks like
arms.
this,
Yeah.
disc and club. Yeah, weapons.
Weapons as writing club and this, but
Mm,
he'll carry with him also the lotus and the
Lotus, yeah. Yeah.
lotus and what else? Lotus. Always forget though one of it. Disc and club to kill the demons. And then
Yeah.
there is the lotus and one more to protect the devotees. What's the fourth one?
Shankha Chakra Gada. Shankha Chakra Gada.
So Gada. No,
Conch.
Shankha.
no, club is a
Conch
Gada.
shell. Conch shell.
Conch.
Yeah,
Shell, yeah.
conch shell. Yeah, that's
Right.
right. Thank you.
As I say, Karmanda, let's
Conch.
know. That is, yeah,
No,
that is
no,
right.
not German. Conch shell. Yeah,
Option.
thank you. So we'll continue reading tomorrow. Stop here. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.